We are live. Peace and Black Power family. Welcome to another episode of Knowledge Radio. Place for Knowledge is Born. This is your host, Knowledge is Born Alive. We got the man, the myth, the legend in the building. Dr. Amari Rebel coming through. This is interview number 50,000 for the day. You understand what I'm saying? And what a way to end off this series for the day and to bring forth a multifaceted, multi-layered, deep thinker. You know, we done had all kinds of spiritual, emotional, and psychological roller coasters going on today in regards to them great African minds that are here. So now we have one who creates an alchemy of everything that we heard today. An alchemy out of revolution, an alchemy out of spirituality, an alchemy out of education, an alchemy out of the sacred sciences of sonic force.
Come on,
this
man.
Musician, okay? This musician that empowers us to look deep within ourselves and find that rebellion, insurrection spirit in a melodic way that has your head bobbing and jazzing while you fight. You understand what I'm saying? So let's welcome to the show. Welcome to the platform.
Man.
Dr. Amari Rebel, Black Power. What's going on with you, King?
Appreciate that, man. That's what's up, man. I need you to go on the road with me. You know what I'm saying? Give me an introduction like that every night. You know what I'm saying? What's up?
I'm a phone call away, bro. I'm a phone call away. So.
Hey, man, I appreciate that, man. Thank you for having me, man. I know you definitely, you know what I'm saying, putting in the work. Interview 50,000 of the day. That's only today.
Right.
You know what I mean? Let alone what you've been doing all week and in the weeks leading up to you know what I mean, to the event in August. So yeah, man, we appreciate the work you're doing.
It's necessary. There's no way in the world that you could have so many creative and brilliant African minds converge from 5 different continents and not give the people a little morsel. You understand? Give them a little smidge, a little sprinkle. You understand what I'm saying? Of what's to come, and you know, and increase their familiarity and their set ability, you know, to want to be a part of, you know, history in the making. This is history in the making. So if we looked at 2020 and say like 2020 existed in a vacuum, and we see how 2020 started these first, you know, 6 or 7 months, we still have 5 months left. You know, how we started is not how we're going to end. You understand? So we were in preparation for this 2020 vision that everybody was talking about. In order for you to get things into focus, other things had to be removed from your physical sight. You understand? So corrective lenses aid you into getting your vision back focused. So we were out of focus and out of sync with Mother Nature, with the universe, with our Creator, you know, and all of these things. We thought all of these other things were, you know, of more importance or in greater importance, but we kept saying 2020 vision, right?
Yeah.
Not sight. We said 2020 vision. They're not the same. So now we're looking at things with our sight and saying, yo, this is messed up. This is jacked up. I thought 2019 was 2020. You know, you're getting things back into focus. Right. So now look how we're going to close out this particular year going into 2021. The visionaries are going to be there. The ones with sight are going to be dismayed by what they see. The visionaries see what's on the horizon and what's coming and who's in charge and how things are moving back into focus. You see what I'm saying? What's more important than the focus on your family? You see what I'm saying? What's more important than resurrecting this insurrection spirit? You ain't looked outside and see what happened lately? You understand what I'm saying? Like getting back in tune with nature. Like you got to cut certain things off and can't be around everybody. What is nature telling us? You understand on this path that we got going on? And, you know, so for us to come together and move forward, those ones that are true, other people is just straight up checking up out of here. You understand what I'm saying? Like we lost, you know, Dr. Africa. You understand what I'm saying? Like we lost Dr. Africa, like at the, you know, right at the height of this, you know, thing just supposed to be, boom. You see what I'm saying? So what is in store ancestrally for us on this other side once they see if we worthy of what they about to bestow upon us? You see what I'm saying? Like if we could low crawl a couple of more meters and get to our particular goal on this other side, what's in store for us on this other side? how tumultuous is this really for us? You see what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, haven't we been through worse situations? Like, 98, I went to this thing called the Million Youth March,
Yeah.
and we went to war with these other people called the NYPD.
Mm.
You understand what I'm saying? We met with them, you know, force on force type situations, unarmed, and went to war with them. You see what I'm saying? Like, I was a young punk, like 18 years old, and this is how I cut my teeth and went into the new Black Panther Party for self-defense under the leadership of Dr. Khaled Abdul Muhammad at the time. You know what I'm saying? So, like, we've been through tumultuous times before, turmoil before, but what's been on the other side? This is not the same. So if we could look and be a little wise to what's going on, let's see exactly what's happening. So you're providing a alchemical mix and blend to be able to infuse rhythm, tone, sound, vibration together on a foundation of resistance. So, bam.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Yo, that was a lot of what you just said, man. You really just dropped. Look, I see that. You got the fist around the mic. You could drop that, John, right there, because you definitely just put it down, man. There's a lot on what you were saying, man. And I think, man, let's hit that 2020 vision,
Right.
And you're making a difference between sight and vision, because you talking loud, but you ain't saying nothing. A lot of people, it's easy to talk. It's easy. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm doing. I think that this whole situation caught a lot of us on our heels. We realized we weren't ready, because when we were all locked down and the toilet paper is out the stores and everything is shutting down. Yo, what kind of, are you prepared? Oh, you think that everything that we've been talking about is just myth or it's fiction? Like, if it pops off tomorrow, you know what I mean? When dead press, just think, you know what I mean? If they shut down the grocery stores and start martial law. Yo, bro, we was right there in Philly. You know what I mean? It was one thing when we thought, you know what I mean, they shut it down in March, and we thought, oh, this is crazy. And then in June or May, they rolling tanks down people's street, blasting tear gas off into people's houses. Like, bro, yo.
Right.
So you talking all this 20, like, how are we preparing ourselves? And for me, one of the things that's very important is, like, yo, first of all, it's not lip service. Like, yo, are you doing your push-ups? You know what I mean? Are you stocking up? Oh, really, if you want to take it there, why are we even here, bro? Why are we even here when we know that everything that could come to pass will come to pass? And then we just gonna sit there like, oh, damn, they got us. Well, that's on you at that point, because you knew it was coming. We've been talking this for years. Our elders have taught us. We've studied history. We've seen that there are historical trends that come around like clockwork. You know what I mean? Every certain amount of years, certain things happen. Yo, I think this all caught us on our heels. And it's like, yeah, you was really seeing what you thought was your vision. Well, what you thought was your vision. You wasn't honing your vision. You feel me? So like that, I think, man, the differentiation you making there between sight and vision, that's crucial right there, man. And if anything, we have to adapt. We got to learn. And I think that part of what, you know what I mean, the work that you're doing, and what we're working towards in August, celebrating, you know what I mean, the centennial of the RBG, of our flag, the work of the Honorable Marcus Mosiah, you know what I mean? It's like, that is the continuation. That is where our attention needs to be. I know beforehand you and I were talking about, a lot of the things that have been happening, and it's like, well, yo, part of that ain't for us. That ain't for us. That's not for our people. You know what I mean? Like, so my question becomes, like, at this particular time, how are we continuing to do the work to build the foundation for the world that we're trying to build for ourselves? You know what I mean? And part of that for me is through my research, really delving into the Maroons and Maroonage. That is to me an example for how we can move from point A to point B, and point B being somewhere where we can build autonomous communities, where we can defend ourselves, when we can provide for ourselves and make decisions for ourselves on to how we're going to engage with anybody else. You know what I mean? As opposed to them coming at us and telling us, well, you have to show up. Oh, hey, guess what, y'all? We about to give y'all a holiday, Juneteenth. right? They told us they were going to give us a holiday. They told us that they're going to take down some statues of some people. Because look, bro,
Right.
and forgive me if I'm going too far on this one.
No,
What I try to communicate is this: what they call a Confederate flag was never the flag of the Confederacy. We know that. It was the battle flag of North Virginia, right? And it was really only in existence for about 2 years. But let's give it to them. Let's say it was the Confederacy, which existed from 1860 to 1865. Yo, what was flying over slavery from 1776 to 1860? What was that flag? It was the American flag. What was the flag that was flying over the sharecropping, the crop lien system, debt peonage, that was flying over what they call the nadir or race relations in the late 1800s after Rutherford B. Hayes pulled the troops out the South, leaving an open season on black people, right? What was the flag that was flying over that? Wherefore every week 2 black people were lynched for 50 years. What was the flag that was flying over that, right? So we over here trying to say, well, take down the statues, take down the flag. Where my thing is like, yo, man, like, the fact is that none of this can be for us. None of this can be restructured in a way that will make any room for us. So what's good? You know what I mean? Like that to me is really where the conversation needs to be. And unfortunately, I'm not seeing it there. Everybody good?
Yeah, the joint kind of blanked out on me over here.
There you go. You back. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, cool. So anyway, man. So yeah, that's where I'm at, bro.
Yeah, it got too hot for him real quick. Yeah, you know? I thought it was just on my end. I was like, oh, I ain't know, your joint was blanking out too. So yeah. How was Amari Rebel born?
Yo, oh man, I think I'm trying not to beat you on the head with all the in-depth details, but basically, man, I had I've always been heavily influenced by reggae music, you know what I mean? And there's an artist by the name of Tony Rebel, and he got a few songs that really hit, but one of them was a little love song. He say, love you like a fresh vegetable. Now tell me if you love Tony Rebel. So I was, one day I was messing around on stage doing a little freestyle, and I said, now tell me if you love Amari Rebel. I said, that actually hits. That actually, you know what I mean? That it resonated. It felt like this is who I've been. You know what I mean? I've never been one to you know what I mean, to subject myself to what I felt was unrighteous authority. You know what I mean? And living in this wicked wilderness of North America is all unrighteous authority. So let me make that, part of the name that I've adopted to really push this idea of us creating for ourselves that world which, we've built, and that which suits us and our generations to come.
So how did you get your start musically? What were some of your musical motivations and inspirations?
Man, when I was my parents had, I guess maybe in the early days of their marriage, wanted to take up something together. So they had these 2 acoustic guitars. They never really pursued it, but it was always around the house, and I used to pick it up and just, away. And eventually they got me a guitar, and I really took to it until I got to high school, where my mother bought me the autobiography, and I remember reading that and being forever changed. I am and will always be a son of Malcolm, El Haj Malik El Shabazz, and really knowing that I wanted to create music that was moving our people towards where I felt we needed to be. That is liberation, right? I wanted to move people, and I just, I couldn't find anybody to get down with me, and I just found myself reading more and more and more, and I stepped away from the music for a while. Pursued the academic thing. I traveled. I lived in Cuba, I lived in Ghana, I lived in Brazil, really just, studying it and really immersing myself in African culture globally. And then I moved to New Orleans. The music was everywhere, and I said, yo, it's time for me to pick it back up. And that's kind of been, that's been about a little bit over 10 years now. It's one of the best decisions I've made.
So now you took me on the whole whirlwind by itself, saying the places that you travel to
Yeah,
and that sound in those particular places, you
yeah,
know, those particular stops on the Underground Railroad of Liberation,
uh-huh,
you know, in different language and in different, you know, scenery in different historic spaces, uh, and different historic cultures, but same at the same time.
bro.
You know what I
It's so
mean? So I need some takeaways. I need some takeaways from travel. I need the family that's listening to know, you know, what's going on. Let's talk to these Africans that's listening about travel, the benefits, and you know some of those things that you experienced along the way.
man. All right, I'm gonna try because it's a lot, man. I mean, I spent a lot of my late teens, my probably about my mid 20s. I was on the move all the time, you know, traveling throughout the Caribbean, through South America. I mean, I probably lived in Brazil for about a year and a half altogether. And you know, in the time I was there, I learned to speak Portuguese, which I always heavily uh, sort of believe that we should learn languages that can help us communicate. Yo, there are more Africans in Brazil than there are in the United States, right? Um, Brazilian Portuguese is not like Portuguese from Portugal. It is so heavily infused with African languages, particularly you know, Kimbundu, Kikongo, and Yoruba, that it really is its own. In fact, there's a dictionary developed by this brother named Lopes, and it basically talks about the African origin of all of these Brazilian Portuguese words. Man, it's so heavily infused. So I spent my time in a place called Salvador da Bahia, which is 25% of all the Africans taken to the New World were taken to Salvador da Bahia. It's the capital of Bahia. It is majority African. I'm talking like 90% African, and that culture is still so vibrant. The place is just heavy with that spiritual energy. You know what I mean? The you know the spiritual system down there, they call it candomblé. Is you know, they have different origins. The Yoruba line, the Jeje, which is more like from Dahomey. You've got the Angola and the Kikongo line, which is all of that. I mean, it's such a part of the culture. And one of the things that I really learned, you know, was important for me was I was part of like the activist circles here. You know, we all go through that phase of, you know, political organizing and all of that. And what I realized when I was down there was they had this rally, because when we talk about, you know, police murder of Africans in this country, it's on a whole different level down there. To the point where, this is a side note, I know I'll get back to they have a show, they have a series of shows on the daytime. They got this dude, his name is Bocão, which is it means big mouth. And it's a dude, white dude, he gets on the TV, he yells. He's just always yelling, right? And he's like, look at this footage. Look at this video taken from whatever neighborhood in the ghetto. Police have caught a drug dealer, and they'll show him opening the trunk of the car and dragging an African body out and throwing it onto the ground. This is midday TV that they're doing this, right? This is the sort of that militarized, you know, legacy of the dictatorship, which is really an extension of, you know, the cracker slave owner, right? Like you know, that is the environment. So I was at this protest where you know, they were sort of going against that, but also trying to launch this movement, what they called Reactor da Reaja or Será Morta, which is basically what was happening was, you know, here it's like we have a political rally, we're gonna have somebody make a speech, somebody gets up and makes a speech, we're gonna have somebody else make a speech, we'll make a speech, we're gonna have somebody else, here's the cultural aspect, somebody's gonna sing a song and somebody sings a song. But there, the way this thing was, it was like everything was poetry and music and speech and theater, right? All, it wasn't like separated, it wasn't compartmentalized, it was just all part of what was happening with how they were expressing themselves, man. And that was really important to me, particularly what would later play into the music, because it's not just like entertainment, it's not something that just make you feel good, right? This is a direct, you know, what Fela would say, that this is a weapon. Music is a weapon. Like this can do some serious damage when the soldiers are fighting in the Zimbabwe liberation movement are listening to Bob Marley, right? When they're in the camps in Azania, they're listening to Bob Marley. That's what's getting them hyped to go and really do what they need to do to liberate their land. Like that's, so anyway, so all of that is to say, man, like that's really what I took away from Brazil. Like when we say culture, it's not something to be separated from everything else that we do. And I could certainly go on, but I think, you know, I mean, I've given you quite a bit right there. So
now you leaving some stops out. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, yeah.
Caribbean, South America. So I needed to come back to the most African place in the United States. You understand what I'm saying? Like you went from
Okay. So you want me
the
to,
most African place to the most African place. You understand what I'm saying? Because I'm painting a picture. I'm painting a picture.
Right,
You went from the most African, the place where the most Africans exist outside of Africa, to the most African place in the United States, right here. You see what I'm saying?
So we're skipping a few years, but I went to grad school at the Confederate University of Texas, and I met a brother there. And in fact, now let me back it up. When I was in college, this is the summer before my senior year, I went to visit my grandfather in North Carolina, and this is late August 2005, and we sitting on his couch in his living room watching CNN just project images of African people on rooftops for days and days and days on end. I'm talking, of course, about Hurricane America, known as Katrina. And for me to, my grandfather, we tripping because we like, yo, why are they still there? How you getting news crews on the ground to interview these people, but you can't get people to come and help them get out of there, right? And I was so, at that point, I was like, all right, that's it. This is enough. I was going back to New York. I said, we need our own nation. There was only one organization in the time that I could find that was working towards building an independent African nation in New York City, and I went and joined them, and I rocked with them for a minute. But I had this commitment to New Orleans, even though I had never been up until that point. I was never particularly a fan of Master P, or I was not a No Limit soldier. I'm from the Northeast, I'm from Jersey. Like you can't sell me on that deep South hip hop. Now it wasn't doing it for me, right? but
you a Jersey dude?
Jersey, bro. Yeah. Broadway, man. Right outside of North Linden, Broadway.
Yeah, I'm from North.
So I don't talk like you from down that way, but yeah, that's what's up, man. Yeah, bro. So now, man. So I finished my senior year. I was moving to Texas, and I had to drive, and I wanted to go through New Orleans. I spent one night there. I was like, oh, this is it. It just that city you could just feel it. Like in a lot of ways, I could close my eyes and think I was in Brazil. So many similarities. The language, right? In terms of the Africanisms that find their way into the language, the look of the people, the heat, the humidity, the vibrance of the culture, all of that. So when I got to Texas, I met a brother. You know him, the good brother, Dr. Amari Kamara, and we were like, that's it. That's when we started the Sons of Malcolm radio show, and eventually it was a radio show, and then they kicked us off. It was a so-called black-owned radio station. They kicked us off after one episode, and that's when we brought it to YouTube. But he's from New Orleans, and after 2 years, I had completed my coursework, and he was finishing his as well. So he was like, "Yo, I'm moving back to New Orleans, so I'm rolling with you." And again, that was just a wonderful decision. I really got to, just sort of immerse myself in so much of what New Orleans is. And I'm not talking about, because at that point, what do you know about New Orleans? You know about Mardi Gras, you know about the New Orleans Saints and all that. And for me, to go there and just to be there, what I always loved about going to New Orleans was, you walk down the street and it could be you're going to walk a 3-minute walk down to the corner store, but it's going to take you 30 minutes because you're going to stop. You're going to talk with people who you've never met before. You're going, like just that sort of that African outgoingness, the idea of like, I see you, I don't know you, but that doesn't matter. We're going to talk. We have a shared experience on this earth. Right. I say all of that, man, just because New Orleans to me is still the best place I've ever lived in this country, right? Which isn't really saying much, but New Orleans is a spectacular place. And lastly, I'll say about this, man, my grandfather had an experience. He had only been to New Orleans once. So I'm sitting there watching, Katrina play out with him. He's telling me he had been to New Orleans when he was in the service. Is during the Korean War. They take these troops, they put them on a train, they stop in New Orleans. So they're like, all right, that's what's up. We about to, go catch a movie. Bro, they go to the movie, tells me the story. I'm like blown away. he says they go, and obviously, right, he's from North Carolina, so that's segregated anyway. So he's used to that. He goes into the, to the balcony, but he sees a gong in the front of the movie theater. And he's like, yo, what is that there for? And they're like, oh, well, this is a comedy. Black people have to wait for the gong in order to be able to laugh. You hear what I just said? You can't laugh until they hit the gong. I had never heard about that before. And since then, as an elder, Mama Jennifer from Community Book Center, I had asked her about it. She was like, oh, well, where was it? She named off a whole list of places that did that, right? So he always had this bad taste in his mouth about New Orleans, and he never wanted to go back. And unfortunately, he passed away about 2 months after I got to New Orleans. And I wish so bad that I could have told him about everything. The Desire Projects, where the Panthers had a shootout with the police defending the projects. Mark Essex, who got up in the Holiday Inn and was bucking on fools, and they ain't know what to do with them, right? You know what I mean? When we're talking about Community Book Center, Kamali Academy, Black Star Books and Cafe, Ashe Cultural Arts, like so much of what is happening in New Orleans, bro. Come on, man. You know what I mean? Like when they say, Samori wrote a book, and he took the line from Spook Who Sat by the Door. They said there's some bad brothers in New Orleans. Man, that's ours. That is our African city. You know what I mean? My brother Bakir started Little Africa out there, and that's really what it is, man. So I certainly encourage, and it's unfortunate to see what's happening with regards to the charter school takeover, with regards to gentrification, right? All these people coming in and buying up land and pushing Africans out. But you know what I mean? Again, that's, if you don't own it, it ain't gonna be yours, and we don't own this land. So I think it's definitely important to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I was just wanting you to draw a parallel that you did so eloquently.
Oh, yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, we think and we get localized, just like I was saying about the localized pain theory that they come with. You see what I'm saying? They get to asking you stupid shit like, well, what do white people have? What have they done to you personally? I'm like, you ain't got enough time. But how much time you got to hear what they done to me personally? You understand what I'm saying? So they want you to say, okay, separating experiences and dwelling in individuality, because they do the same thing on the other side when they start talking about progress, and I don't remember what ancestor said it, but he said, if you start with slavery, everything else after seems like progress. Yep. You understand what I'm saying? Yep. So when you're looking at this and we start saying progressive, we're saying regressive and further regressive and further regressive. Now, a regression is a natural phenomenon that happens in the body. Your heart rises. You understand? And it falls. The rise and fall of the chest is proof of life, proof of existence, proof that you are conscious or you're alive. You understand what I'm saying? Movement is evidence of life, So when we look at regression, what else regresses in nature? The planets. You understand? In their planetary revolution around the sun, they progress and they regress. So if the planets can't confuse progression with regression, if they're moving backwards to move forward, what else does that? The Sankofa bird. We're looking back to move forward. You understand what I'm saying? So when you look at progression and regression, if you can convince the mind that it's moving forward instead of it moving backward, everything looks great and everything looks grand. You understand? Yeah. And you just stifle the war effort. You just stifled the war effort because you stifled the warrior that exists in his mind or her mind or their mind as a collective. When you start localizing things, you're made up of one body. But if you're concerned with your knee, you're not going to take care of the rest of your body. And the rest of your body begins to suffer to compensate for the pain that's localized in your knee or in your back or wherever in your body. You're not in the optimal position, but you're thinking about, okay, I just need to take care of my knee. And not realizing that pain in your knee is a miracle to alert you that something is going wrong in the body. It's just localized in the knee. You understand what I'm saying? So we're in a position where we're pain-filled and pain-driven, and we're looking at that experience as something. Instead of us fixing it, we're going numb to it. We're looking for numbing effects. We're looking for Novocaine. You understand what I'm saying? They can numb you up. They can give you Novocaine and kill you, and you don't even think about it because you're numb to it. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So they're killing us, and we're becoming numb to it. We're becoming desensitized to it, and then we revert back to localization in regards to, well, that was that cat. That ain't me. Better them than me. You understand what I'm saying? So we could look at an atrocity like Hurricane Katrina happened in New Orleans and happening in the Gulf Coast as a whole, in Mississippi and other places, and say, it's them. You understand what I'm saying? Yep. Not us. They don't see us. They're affected visually by what they see because it affects us no matter what, whether we desensitize to it or not. But we no longer have an appropriate response. No sympathy, no empathy, no anything, no rage or anything. We're just looking at it. Yep. You understand what I'm saying? Yep. We're just looking at it. Today is Emmett Till's birthday. We're just looking at it. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we're just looking at it. He was killed in Black August. You see what I'm saying? He was killed in Black August, and the people that was responsible for his death and devastation, on down to the cracker dog who lied all the way to her deathbed. Yeah. Nature did the job that we were supposed to do. You understand what I'm saying? They got to die from cancer and old age and shit like that. You understand what I'm saying? Like, so in that interim, when you could see those eyes, when you could hear that well from Mama Made Me Chill, you understand what I'm saying? You can't unhear it. You can't unhear it. I couldn't go take my great grandnephew with me back home and be with the man that's responsible for his life and his well-being, and somebody came to get him. You understand what I'm saying? I couldn't call her and say, hey, something happened to your son. You understand? They're supposed to be like, hey, great grand uncle need bail money. He got locked up. You understand? He needed a trial defense lawyer. Some people came to try to get Emmett, and they no longer with us. You understand what I'm saying? So when you look at that in that mind frame, it's something that is there. But if we look at localized pain in that same kind of fashion, we're not looking at it through the lens that we're supposed to see it. We become numb to it. We become desensitized to it. So we look at Black life with no regard to the life at all. Because we're dealing with the people who have localized transgenerational trauma and are waiting to die because they have never lived. You see what I'm saying? So this fight for resistance and this push for a future and autonomy, you can live in peace. But in order for you to get to autonomy and to peace, you got to be prepared for war and engage in war with that mind frame that though you're not seeing it, I'm looking at this man, this visionary that's behind me. He said, look for me in the whirlwind, because he knew physically he would not be able to dwell among us for an extended period of time because he was not comfortable with the conditions that he found our people in. Right. So I said in the whirlwind, I left many cubs in the bush. So he, as a visionary, said that these cubs are going to continue to make the physical presence known, and I got the whirlwind. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? I got the whirlwind. You hear cats say, I got next. So like, I got the whirlwind. So I'm sending the whirlwind. I'm sending the hurricane. I'm sending the tornado. I'm sending the earthquake. You see what I'm saying? Look for me in the whirlwind. And my cubs, look for me in the whirlwind, in the spirit of my cubs, in the spirit of my bloodline. You see what I'm saying? His bloodline still lives on. You understand what I'm saying? So all of these things come together. And if it's his bloodline, it's our collective bloodline. If it's his whirlwind, it's our collective whirlwind. Where are the the stirrers that continue to move in you and in us? You see what I'm saying? To keep that whirlwind going when that momentum begins to pick up steam, so it can be devastating for our enemies and a calming and a protecting effect for us.
But man, again, you putting a lot down. This idea that you started with of progress and progressive, as well as what you're working towards, look for me in the world. And I think there's a few things. Number one is, progressing towards what? It's not, there is not a single destination, right, that everybody is working towards. Because I can tell you right now, as you said earlier, we're not working towards the same thing as some of these other people are. Like, because if you look at, like, here's an example, the mythology of American history, they're going to tell us that it is a movement towards a progressive movement towards equality, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, all of those ideals that have never been a practice, right? Particularly as it pertains to us. Well, But again, how do they tell us how history happened? Slavery was bad. Lincoln freed the slaves. And this is the terms they're using. They'll call us slaves, right? And then the slaves, even though we were free, we still slaves, went to work. And then, things got bad. But then they went to the North, and then they had opportunities. Civil rights happened. Now y'all are all free because Obama got elected, right? In other words, the history of America, as they try to tell us, is a progressive move towards whiteness. We are going to integrate into how close can we get to being white, is what they're saying, right? I want us to question the very fundamental assumptions of how time works. So the now ancestor Baba Ajay Akoto would say, he put me on, he didn't come up with this, but he put me on to the idea of Ma'at and Isfet, the spiral cycle of time, that you're constantly moving between Ma'at and Isfet. And it's like, okay, well, where are we now? And this is a game I'll play with some of my younger students. I say, well, where are we now? Right? Are we on our way to Ma'at? Are we descending? How long does this spiral cycle? Because if we're saying, 10 years, or is it 100 years, or is it 1,000 years, right? Because how long were the Kemetic folks rocking, right? Thousands of years they were in their dominion, right? So how then do we analyze time? Well, part of what they would teach us is that, sometimes you got, I think it's a different way of saying what you just said with the progressive and the regressive. You go through seasons where you on point. You go through seasons where nothing comes together, right? Our job is to study that cycle and be like, all right, well, here's an example. What do you do in the winter? Well, you don't plant any seeds, right? That's not the time to plant seeds. It's the time for everything, right? And I think that if we could shift our focus away from how are we, which unfortunately, and obviously present company excluded because we ain't talking about this, but the idea of how can we be integrated into American society? How can we be just like white people? What's the problem? The problem is not that they treat us bad, right? The problem is that they don't see us as just like them, right? There's a song by Louis Arms. Well, he sings this song. He didn't write the song, but it's called Black and Blue, right? So what did I do to be so black and blue? But there's a line. I'm always like, bro, I wish I could ask the writer of the song what the hell he was saying. Because he says, I'm white on the inside, but that don't help my case, right? All they see is what's on my face. And I'm like, wait, what? That's not that. We're not on the same page right there, right? So what I'm saying is, man, I think, you're right. That progress and regress that we look at my and Isfet, that's how we operate. So instead of saying, well, how can we get to that point and be like them, it's really about how can we study, right, the ebbs and flows of history, of our experience, and prepare ourselves. Because people will say, oh, winter is bad, it's cold, things die, whatever. Nah, man, that's a time for resting, right? That's a time for preparing. And then when the spring hits, that's the time for planning and growing and so on and so forth. You see what I'm saying? So I feel you on that, man. That progress and regress, that's nature.
Right. And when we look at Ma and Isfet from a cultural perspective, with our African mind, if you say you're going to do something, prove it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if we say, hey, if I say, okay, I smoke, I'm going to stop smoking. As soon as I make that declaration, the meiotic balance is Isfet. Prove it. I'm going to put you in these situations,
right,
to see if you really have the willpower,
right,
to conquer that. You understand? So it's not malefic over here. It's not malefic over here. It's a test over here. It's for you to see if you're able to withstand these situations that was causing you to smoke for a throttle. They're about to come 100,000 times harder than they ever did before.
Yeah.
And if you get out of there on that other side, you ain't gonna smoke another damn cigarette. You understand what I'm saying? So now, if we look at that towards our liberation, we find these situations. We just talking about how 2020 came in. You see what I'm saying? And some cats tapped out. Some cats transition. Some cats say, "Yo, wake me up in 2022." You understand what I'm saying? Like, so for all of these things that happen, other things happen on the other side. You see what I'm saying? Other things happen on the other side. So we're not in charge to say what was what. But if you have an eye to see and ears to hear,
Man.
you'll know what's going on. You see what I'm saying? You'll know what cycle that you're in and what's going on. So you don't got to go into the situation blindly. You know what I mean? Now there's some people that might be with you that might be trying to go into the situation blindly, and if you have sight, it's your duty to seek to guide them. But you can only guide those who are willing to listen to those instructions. All the
Bro,
rest of them, you have to lob off their heads. You
that's
understand what I'm saying?
off
So
that.
that's Mayat, okay, to eliminate the isfet. To
Oh,
eliminate the isfet, meaning that willingness for you to be able to not let situations get out of control. That's Mayat.
oh
So when
yeah.
these things are out of control, you have to bring them back into control. And the isfet is there as guiding principles for you along the way for you to be able to come back into focus and into
Yo,
view. Just like we were saying about this 2020 vision. Everybody was like, yo, this is the year, I'm telling you, and this represent this.
got
And
real
they got real deep, they got real sciencey, they got real philosophical. And yo, I'm saying, and then when this shows up, they like,
yeah. But
oh,
you see, but you see, and I really appreciate the way you put this down, man, because that to me, and this is why I have I mean, I don't even know if I could say a love. Just it is to me, this is truth. African spiritual systems, right? Because it's not separate from our lived experience, right? And all of this is part of existing in nature, which is supernatural, right? All of these sort of things, because I'm as you're illustrating that, I'm more familiar with, what they will call, I guess in the Yoruba term, right? Yoruba, they would say Eshu, right? Or Elegba, in Brazil, right? Or in Cuba, the Elegua, or whatever, the different names of Papa Legba, or whatever. We know who this person is, or this spirit. Who do they try to tell us that is? They say that's the devil, right? This is the devil. Why? Okay, no, he's not the devil. He's the trickster. Well, why is he the trickster, right? Well, actually, it's not really that he's the trickster. He's holding you accountable. He is the embodiment of Isfet that you were just talking about, right? Oh, word. So you want me to deliver this message, and you want me to say it just like you said it? You better watch your words, right? You better be mindful of what you're saying. Okay, no. Exactly how you said it is how I'm gonna bring it to. And then you mad when you don't. It's kind of like in these Disney movies, right? Of course, the kids, they force that down our throats, right? It's like the genie in the bottle. Well, you got to be careful how you,
right.
right? You got to be careful what you say. Well, the spirit of Eshu is similar in that all Eshu is doing is reflecting the thing that you have, the energy that you have put forth, right? And I think particularly, people said they was bad. People said they wanted to get their weight up, right? Oh, no, we about to take it to a next level, whatever. All right, cool. You about that life? Let's go. Now look at you. You know what I mean? I was talking to somebody the other day who was like, everybody said they was gonna come out of quarantine with prison bodies doing all their workouts, and people just got guts, right? People just getting unhealthy in the time that they hear. And it's like, yo, man, that's what I was saying, bro. I think a lot of us were caught on our heels, and we think it's just wordplay. So I like the way that you put that with regards to, it's really just to keep that balance. It's just to keep that balance, and it's always gonna be there. And you got to be prepared. You got to be more in tune with what you're putting out, what you say you want, and how you're moving towards that. All right, prove it. Put your money up. What's good? You about that life or not? You know what I mean? So, yeah, I can dig that, man.
Dear Mexican Belly says, mad money out here. You trying to get it? You gonna bust your gun to get it?
Yeah, I'm
I hear
saying.
you talking. He told us I hear you talking. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, hey, you rocking loud, but you ain't saying nothing. Yeah,
Nah,
yeah.
yeah,
Word. Yeah, this is so as an educator now I gotta shift gears, on in the educated conversation. You see what I'm saying? Like how what has been your experience in regards to your mind and your purpose in regards to your student body? How are we relating these things to our student body?
man. There's a disconnect, yo. I know they talk about generational gaps, and I'm kind of feeling it, man, because I'm like, yo, we not talking the same language. I really feel, and look, all right, so let me say this, because I don't want to be one of those people who's always uh what they call, they're not millennials, because that technically who they call them millennials are not really millennials. These are Gen Xers, I think they're called, right? And people are always beating up on them, saying they're not focused, they don't do this, and they don't do that. I'll say one thing that they do really well from what I've observed, is they certainly know how to make space for themselves. Like they'll, you know, on a shoestring budget, they'll pull something together with gathering, a party, or, you know, the way they talk is, you know, come have mindfulness practices or whatever the hell they be talking about. But the point is that, but so that I want to start by saying that they have some things that they do well. What I've also noticed with regards to the students who I largely work with is that there seems to be a bro, we came up before YouTube. We actually had to read. Now they just want to look at video, you know, video debates or lectures or things like that. There's certainly some value to that, because, you know, we all had those DVDs back in the day, you know, Amos Wilson or you know, Khalid Muhammad or whatever, we watching those DVDs. But I'm also saying, like, yo, there's a art to reading and to studying, and I feel like a lot of that is missing. It's like, yo, you want to be you know, you want to be a healer, but you haven't put in the work to become a healer. You think that that's something that could just happen overnight. You know what I'm saying? You want to be a warrior, but you're not training, right? You just want to, you're not. So I really feel like that's been happening. And, you know, my efforts have really been like, yo, I find a few students who are about that life, and we can work. We can, you know what I mean, really dive in, because I think my educational experience has brought me to, I've read widely, you know what I mean, whether it be reading in different languages, which is a whole nother thing. I mean, there's a whole world of literature pertaining to African people, say in Portuguese, right? That is not available because it hasn't been translated, but is extremely, particularly when I'm talking about the stuff with maroonage, right? The way they're thinking about it, because we're talking about, yo, Brazil, bro, like Palmares, over 10,000 people in a maroon camp that lasted over 100 years, fighting off the Portuguese and the Dutch armies, right? And that's just one example. That's probably the largest examples, but the whole country is littered with just all of these. So the people who are thinking about that, the people who are writing about that, have so much to offer from their lived experience that is not getting translated to English. So, you know what I mean? I try to bring some of that really just to broaden the conversation. And that's kind of been my thing. I'm really big on challenging assumptions. Why do we think the things that we think? Have we questioned the things that we think that we know, right? And where is that going to bring us? But by and large, I will say that the most intellectually stimulating engagements have not come through the university classroom, right? They've come from people who, you know, who are just in the community, who are reading on their own, who are, you know what I mean? That's really where it's at, because those are people who are much more in tune with what they're working towards, as opposed to people who, you know, if it's just theoretical for them, they don't have that same level of investment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We have to find a way to bridge the experiences. For me, with this generation, I mean, these are our children, and I don't look at them as anybody other than our children, and the people that are groomed up to take our place and take the place in our ancestral reformation. You know, we have duties and responsibilities to our ancestral line. We have a redemption struggle. We have reconciliation. We have restoration, and all. So we have to find their language. We have to find their language and communicate to them in their language. The same way we learn the languages of other people, of our, you know, relatives and whomever. We have to learn how to communicate with them in their language and not our language. They learned our language. They come from us. They know our language, but they're choosing to communicate with their peer group in their language. So we have to teach them in their language. You understand what I'm saying? After we identify who they are and what their missions are, you know, we identify who they are, what their missions are, and then we can communicate with them in their missions language, their mandate. You see what I'm saying? So this is our push towards them, and they push towards us. You know, they want correction. You know, they may not want to read all of the books that we read. They might want to read 2 or 3 books. We have to understand that they're going to get whatever they need from those 2 or 3 books that pulls from their spirit to them. You see what I'm saying? And, you know, we had to push it. A generation before us, they was like we was lost. You understand what I'm saying? Then the generation before them, they said that they was lost. All hope was lost. You see, like the evidence. There's no book for you to read for your insurrection spirit to kick in, as we seen, as we witnessed. You understand what I'm saying? So we said we thought all hope was lost. They was wearing these jeggings, these jeans tight enough to be leggings. You understand what I'm saying? They did not stop them from erupting and destroying this plantation that we on. You understand what I'm saying? So they was out there with the jeggings. They was out there with the jeggings tearing this place down. You understand what I'm saying? So, it didn't matter if they had them colorful, locks in their head or whatever. You understand? They tore this place apart, and they did not have any fret in their heart when it came time for confrontation. So when it's time in the midst of that reset, in the midst of this reset that we have, we learned that we speak that same language. We learned that we speak that same language. Our elders spoke the same language like that before us. You understand? For us to say Black Power, you understand? It caused some bloodshed. You see what I'm saying? It caused some bloodshed. Baba Mukasa Ricks was our age and younger out there in the trenches, wading through, blood pools for us to say Black Power. You understand what I'm saying? So, so moving down to the next generation, our grand unifier as we approach Black August, because Black August ain't for all Black people. I'm gonna say that. You understand? It's a celebration for the warriors. You see what I'm saying? Because it came from a place of resistance. So the Rainbow Brights in them, they all can be celebrated in February, because February is for everybody. You understand what I'm saying? So the Rainbow Brights, they don't qualify over here in Black August. You understand what I'm saying? This is for the warriors. This is a salute to a resistance. You see what I'm saying? So for those, in order for you to be a part of resistance, you have to be in a resistance posture. You see what I'm saying? You can't be in an assimilation posture talking about resistance. You don't qualify. Go over there to the assimilation group. We find you over here again, nobody's going to find you. You understand what I'm saying? So, with that language, there's elements amongst each generation that speak that language. You know what I mean? So this is how we distinguish one from the other, because we was talking about issue, that's perception. That's, your ability to have a spirit of discernment. You see, so that's why you're careful of your words, because anything that look out of place is done in. You understand what I'm saying? So that's how it works, So in that spirit of keen perception, in the way to open the way, the one who opens the way in that particular tradition, this is how these things work from one place to the other, the gateway. You see what I'm saying? And perception can have us messed up, because we could be thinking that it looks like this or it's this way and it's the other way. This is where the trickster lies in the whole situation. So, in regards to approaching the next generation and open the way, we have to be sure that we open in the way in the right way. You know what I mean?
And I definitely appreciate that. You know what I mean? You're very compassionate. You know what I mean, for that line of communication. I think you're 100% right. You know what I mean? I think about previous. I always talk about when I was growing up, the generation gap. I just can't understand these kids. And now, as I'm getting, older, old enough to be able to you are closer to my daughter's age than you are to mine. You know what I'm saying? So that being able to see them, I don't really understand why you're doing the things you're doing, but I think you're right that they've certainly demonstrated certain things about themselves. I want to tell you a story. When I was a young man in the streets in New York City, you know what I mean? There was a sister who I had my eye on. And I would see her around, hey, just passing or whatever. And I told my Jegna about her. It was one night I caught up with her at a party, and we finally get to talk. And she tells me she's a dancer and this, that, and the third. And I said, that's what's up. And we're talking. I wasn't really impressed with her conversation. You know what I mean? So talking about Jegna, I'm like, yeah, I finally caught up with sis. I wasn't really feeling her conversation. He's like, oh, well, tell me about it. I said, she's a dancer, like she really doing her thing. He's like, oh, word. He said, did you dance with her? I said, no. He says, well, then how the hell you didn't speak her language, right? You tried to talk to her. Me, I'm a thinker, I'm a talker, right? That's how I communicate. He's like, but you didn't dance with her. you can't know her until you speak her language, right? I didn't dance with her. And I think that that's really important in reference to what you're saying, because, you know, what I'm saying is, for me, specifically with regards to like study and scholarship, I'm trying to dance with them and see what they're talking about. And they just not, you know, the majority of the students that I'm working with, they not there for that particular type of engagement. I think what you're saying is, well, what is their form of dance, right? How do they communicate? And let's try and get down with them on it, because you're right. It may not be that they read a syllabus. Well, that's cool. Well, the scholarship ain't the route for you, so let's not waste our time pursuing that. What are you going? How are you getting down? And that's what I started by trying to say is, one thing they do really well is they mobilize. They come together, whether it be for a party, or they'll be like, yo, we having a party and we raising money for, you know, to support the family, Breonna Taylor. And they'll be like, yep, we raised $7,000 on 2-day notice, right? In one night. So they definitely, that's a strength of theirs. You know, that's a strength of theirs. It was me. I'm like, yo, I like being in my basement, writing, reading, you know what I'm saying? Going to spend time with my family. Like, I'm not going to be in the streets like that. That day has passed for me. Right. Where's the link that could be made between, you know what I mean, between our two positions? I feel you on that, man. I think you're definitely right on that one.
You know, in the Matrix 2, Neo was looking for the Oracle.
Mm-hmm.
And before he could get to the Oracle, he met Seraph.
Yeah.
He said, you wish to see the Oracle, right? And they fought. And, you know, Neo starting to get pumped up, and he's like, you know, enough. He's like, the Oracle had many enemies. I had to be sure. He said, you could have just asked. He said, you don't know somebody until you fight with them. You understand what I'm saying? Nice. So we came up like that. Came up like that. You know, our friendships were forged like that. You understand what I'm saying? So we had to engage in Mortal Kombat. You understand? So it's like, okay, like, yo, my best friend, we fought first. And we fought while we was best friends. You understand what I'm saying? And I wish somebody would have came near him, or somebody would have came near me. You understand what I'm saying? So we came up in that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you had a guy who was there that was the guardian of the gate. It didn't matter who you said you was. I need to know who you are, because we come from a strong proof generation. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, they come from a generation where it's something else has to move them. You know, they have to get to that level to where they mad enough. And when they're mad enough, forget about it. So, you know, us was immediate. There's what is a slow boil. Yeah. So in the process, we can learn from that of when to be immediate and when to have the slow boil. And then from us and from them, they can learn, you know, it ain't slow boil all the time. It's go time sometimes, like right then. And then sometimes you got to contemplate it and strategize it. You say, oh, we got to get together and move on it. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? So that spirit of knowing when, you know, back to the perception again, because, you know, that trickster can have you in a trick bag. Hence 2020 in a trick bag. You know, my teachers are teaching me about this trick bag. You understand? So the trick bag got a lot of compartments in it. You understand what I'm saying? The trick bag got a lot of compartments in it. And, you know, most of us that's in the trick bag, it don't look like we in the trick bag. Right. It look like we making our own way. We carving out our own lane. Yeah. Who said this was about you? This is about us. The you is the on the other end of the S. It's a us. It ain't a you situation. You see what I'm saying? So when we say you, we say us. You see what I'm saying? So that I am because we are. I am because we are. So that collectivism move towards how it moves and how it looks. You see what I'm saying? And we're not going to get there without reserves. We're not going to get there without our future generation continuing to march. Otherwise, we will be a one and done situation. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not talking march and protest. I'm saying march in the sense that Dick Gregory said, a military, the first thing you learn and teach a soldier how to do is march. You understand what I'm saying? That because that requires a discipline. This requires this person to forget about their individuality and march to the beat of the drum of the collective. This is how you get them. This is why the Nation of Islam drills. This is why the Panther parties in the formations, they drill. You You see what I'm saying? Because you can see that heartbeat. You can close your eyes and you can listen to the marching steps and see who is out of step. You out there, right? You out of step. You understand? Get in step with everybody else. So if you can get people to march together, you can get people to march upon an objective and destroy every fucking thing in sight. But you can't do that. You understand what I'm saying? You can't do that without the fundamentals being in place. You know, so let me ask you this last question, because you know we've been dancing a lot. For this conference that's coming up, you know, let's kind of share, you know, some of a little bit of the intricacies you're gonna be bringing to the conference that we got coming up. So I'm gonna find your date and time.
August 14th, 13th. Let me see.
I'll just put it up here, so I'm gonna just put it on the screen.
Oh, okay.
Here you go. Boom.
8/14. Yeah, that's right. In the black room. So basically, the things that I've been really trying to communicate during this time is, the problem is not that police kill black people. The problem is that black people do not have the power to stop police from killing us, right? And I think that and very much in line with what we've been talking about, we can say, please stop killing us, but ultimately we don't have the power to determine our fate. So I want to talk about ways, that we can build communal power, looking at the examples of maroonage, looking at the examples of some of the work that I was doing with the folks in New Orleans, to really hop into what that can look like here now, but ultimately where we have to take it. Because one of the things that I say, and we didn't really talk too much about the maroonage, is I think maroonage is important, but it's not the ultimate solution. Maroonage is a means to an end. Nobody wants to stay a maroon forever, and you don't want to stay autonomous forever. Eventually, you want to move to some form of sovereignty, right? Now, maroonage is a tactic of moving from one place, from point A to point B, and I think that us building communal autonomy is one way for us to be able to mimic that very transition from point A to point B. So we'll be talking a little bit about that. And I really just want to engage with folks and really see what their ideas are, particularly, again, about building power. And I'm talking about Amos Wilson right here, because he's laid it out. How are we going to put that into practice? So it's a little bit of what we'll be getting into.
I love that. That's needed. You understand what I'm saying? Like this concept of reinventing the wheel. We hear this whole reinvent the wheel conversation. This whole time, people trying to reinvent the wheel. They trying to reinvent the wheel. Like, nah, everything has been laid out.
Nah, man. Yeah,
everything's been laid out. You see what I'm saying? So we got to pull back the layers and see exactly where we are, and if where we are truly in line with where we're going, and how bad you want to go. Like, how bad do you want to go? You trying to get it? You gonna bust your gun to get it? I hear you talking. You see what I'm saying? So, like, this is that concept that's there. So I'm glad that you're able to draw from historical examples and allow that situation to be made plain, because it's attainable and it's duplicatable, like they say in the sales world. You gotta be able to do what you say, be duplicatable.
Man, let me add one more thing that I think is also important for us to realize. And again, I'm thinking about Baba Ajay Koto, who we not about proselytizing, right. And we not everybody's coming. You know what I mean? Not everybody's, because this isn't for everybody. So there's a movie, Sun Ra has that movie, Space is the Place. I don't know, you can find it on YouTube. I'll give away the ending because it's a very good point. The point, in this movie, Sun Ra goes to outer space to find a place for black people to be able to exist, right? He says, well, we can make it on our own where there's no white people to try and hold us down, right? The time is different out there. Music is different out there. So he says, all right, he comes back to Oakland to use his music to teleport people to outer space. But the most powerful scene is at the end, where the ship is about to take off. They have people, and this is made in the 70s, low budget sci-fi film. and the people are getting on, and they're walking through what looks like a metal detector, and it's measuring the blackness of your soul. So when the pimp tries to get on, it's like, nah, bro, you not get you this not for you. This, you see what I'm saying? Like, I think that was
Right.
always like a illustrative example of like, man, nah, man, this not for everybody. This is not for
Right.
everybody. And
Right.
really, I'm always, sometimes I say, haunted by the question of Aikwe Armand. Yo, are you willing to do the work, the benefits of which you may never see? What if 7 generations down the line, you know, this plant won't bear fruit until 7 generations down? Are you willing to do that work, right? Or probably my favorite book by him, obviously 2000 Seasons, is when we get into the healers. Yo, these are people who were like, listen, the world is crazy. We have to go prepare. We're going to isolate ourselves in the forest and work for the generations that are yet to come. We're not even dealing with them. They not ready for this. We have to put something in place that generations will be able to. Yo, are you willing to do that sort of thing? Not everybody is, right? And I love, yo, come on, man. I love African people. You know, this is who I've committed my life to. But I'm also very clear, kinship ain't, you know, skinship ain't kinship. And what we're talking about is not necessarily the things that everybody wants. I'm not trying to convince everybody to get on this board, because for as easy as I can convince you, it's as easy as someone else to come along and convince you, man. So I just want to share that. One of the things that I'm really excited about is like we're going to be dealing with a population of people at this conference who are already at a certain level of understanding. We don't have to go over the basic assumptions. I don't have to convince you that we are an African people. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to convince you that we have, you know what I mean, that self-determination is just a matter of when, not if, right? We don't have to have those conversations. We can already start on the 10th level, right? And I think like that's why I'm really looking forward to see what. I mean, it's like every day they posting new pictures of who's down. I'm like, oh, come on, man. This is like a dream team. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it for real.
Definitely. Definitely. I don't want to get off into another tangent. So I'm gonna just say I'm excited. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think the last thing, like the first thing we was talking about, is the music. You see what I'm saying? What's up with the music? What's going on? What you working on that you can share with us? Where can the people hear what you got now? You understand what I'm saying? And all that.
Oh man, well definitely. Yeah, I mean the best place is probably AmariRebel.com, and you could go out from there. YouTube Amari Rebel, you know, Instagram Amari Rebel, like, all your relevant social media, you can find it. But the main thing that I've really been doing is just trying to, you know, uh, just get this music out. So back in what was that, November, I put out a project called Bobby Hendrix, which was a mashup of Bob Marley and Jimi Hendrix songs with my interpretation of them. That's on SoundCloud. You can check that SoundCloud / Amari Rebel. And then really moving into it, I started off 2020 with I released a song called "Birth of a Rebel," which is really just talking about, you know, the first question that you asked, really, which was, you know, how did Amari Rebel come to be? So just getting into some of that, man. But I really, you know, I enjoy the music, and I think that there's so much more potential in the music than there are in just beating people over the head by trying to tell them this, that, and the thing. You know what I mean? So I really just am trying to focus on the music and create an experience of freedom. Right? Let's damn, bro. I feel like we could rap forever because there's a whole bunch that we need to get into, man. But I often think about you know, Amilcar Cabral, and all the other, you know, folks of Cape Verde, Guinea-Bissau, Angola, and Mozambique, right? They all had this concept, which I'm always blown away. They were studying in Portugal. They meet each other, right? Marcelinhos dos Santos, Agostinho Neto, and Amilcar Cabral. And they're like, yo, you know what? We should go liberate our countries. They say, yeah, let's do it. And they go back and they actually do it, right? Well, they had this concept of the liberated territory, which was always so important. Because if we've been colonized or enslaved, and then all of a sudden tomorrow you tell us we're free, well, have we had any practice in freedom? What do we do, right? And what they did with the liberated territories and liberated zones was they were like, all right, we freed this block. So in this block, we are free. The revolution is over. We're going to start to set up society just as we want it to be set up. And as the, you know, that zone expanded to eventually when they had the whole nation, right? theoretically, then they would say, well, we've already practiced what it's like to be free. My goal with the music is for us to begin to think, or to feel, what is it like to be free? How can we do this, man? And some of that is addressing where we are, and some of it is addressing where it is that we can be. That's really what I've been focused on lately. And obviously, the family thing, raising my children, loving my wife, and just living this African life here in the wickedness of North America for the time being until we make that move. So that's that. Yeah, there it is. Look at it.
You got to set the scene right here. You understand what I'm saying? You got to see all of that. See Birth of a Rebel.
Yeah.
I saw this guitar. I saw Africa.
Yeah.
And I seen that. When it was first loading, I thought it was a fishbone. You got bad brains and fishbone. You see what I'm saying? So I was like, I had a little moment, like, wait. It's the guitar. Oh no, it's Africa. Oh wait.
Together, man.
At the moment, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man, that's my brother Tafari Melisito out of Atlanta, man. He's my photographer, does graphic design. He's certainly committed to our people. This brother, he's been in Baltimore, he's been in Houston, Oakland. Now he's in Atlanta for the time being. So yeah, he definitely holds it down on the graphics.
Is that merchandisable? Is that merch? Is there a shirt? Is there some things coming for that? Looking, I'm looking. I'm like, I could envision my freshness. You understand?
Yeah. Nah, definitely. I'm looking at the shirt you got on, so yeah, maybe we could do a little exchange. But
right.
We got t-shirts in the time being. I'm actually in the process of setting up the store so that we'll get the hats, sweatshirts, and all those sort of things, man. But, yeah, bro, we just putting in the work, man. I'm committed for the long haul because obviously, Rome didn't fall in a day. You know what I'm saying? So we trying to keep this moving and really advance our cause, man.
That's real. So final thoughts as we wrap it up. Shout outs, acknowledgments, final thoughts. How people can find you, how people can support you. I know you're still working. You understand? I know you're still creating content and all kind of stuff. You see what I'm saying? So people can book you, reach out to you, interview you. You ain't never stopped touring. So I know you're still touring in places and spaces, whether it's virtual or physical or metaphysical, whatever. You understand what I'm saying? Amari Rebel got you.
Yeah, man.
He got you. So the floor is yours.
Well, I do. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to build with you. This has been, I know this ain't the last time, so I'm certainly looking forward, to the future. August 14th, that's a Friday, in the Black Room. What's that? 1:45 to 3:15. So come build with us. You can reach me at amarirebel@gmail.com. And the last thing that I want to say is I mentioned my brother Tafari, and he hit me with something some time ago that I often think about. Is he said, my goal is that when I ascend, I can look my ancestors in the eye. And I try and kind of, that sticks with me. And I want us to keep that in mind in all that we do, in all who we are and who we become. Will we be able to look our ancestors in the eye on that fateful day? You know what I'm saying? And I pray, for myself that the answer is yes. I pray for all of us that the answer is yes, that we live in our true and full African selves. We commit ourselves to African people and to African liberation. So I'll leave you with that, man. But thank you so much for the opportunity, bro. This has been great.
Yeah, most definitely. You're welcome back anytime. Bring the fan, bring Tafari with us. We need to meet him. You know what I'm saying? You can't be, we don't deal with that mystery God stuff around here. You know what I'm saying? We need to see somebody. Tell them pull up. How they say now that? Pull up. Tell them pull up. Okay? You understand what I'm saying? Bring the fam through.
Yeah,
bring your man that's wicked with the graphic design. Let's get him some press. Let's get him some business. You
yeah,
understand? Let's hear his story. So
sure.
yeah, it's all in the whirlwind.
All in the whirlwind, man. That's what's up, bro.
Well, enjoy the rest of your night, brother.
Yeah, man. Cool, bro. You too. I know it's been a long day.
Yeah. I'll probably do a late night joint and then it'll be a wrap. So, I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah. Cool, man.
Might do a music joint. You said your joint is on
Wait, say it again. You cut out.
SoundCloud. It's Amari Rebel on SoundCloud.
Yeah. So you can check out some stuff there for sure. Yeah.
I said, all right. So I might do a show, then do a music show. You know what I'm saying? These are my hours. These are my office hours. You know what I'm saying? Like Big Red said, what are my office hours?
Yeah, man. Nah, man, bro. Man, yo, again, thank you very much, man.
All right, peace.
Bro.
Dr. Amari Rebel came through showing love, man. Look, 100 years in the whirlwind. It's going down, man. It's going down. So if y'all been with me since 11 o'clock, it's almost approaching 12 hours. Y'all see the kind of dynamic African minds that are assembled, that don't mind sharing and giving of their time and their energy and their wisdom garnered from their experiences. So it's more to come. It's more to come. We go to Nigeria tomorrow. You understand what I'm saying? We'll be right here, Nigeria status tomorrow. You understand? So, we going through the continents. By the time it's all over, we've been in touch 5 of those 7 continents out here, and growing. So you see the type of dynamics that are at work and the type of visionary minds that we have in place in regards to concrete, attainable goals. Not some lofty pipe dreams that are filled with fluff and philosophy solely. We got a lot of things in the works. So I definitely want to make haste and get your tickets to solidify your spot and your place in this tremendous African coalition gathering, this ancestral gathering, this family gathering. You understand? So we doing it for this visionary that's behind me, right here. That's on my shoulder. You understand what I'm saying? So, let's do this. Let's continue to get it together. So again, shout out to Dr. Amari Rebel. Shout out to Baba Alias, Kuji Chago, Leah. Shout out to UFG Bomani. Peace to the Vanguard, United Front. Everybody who came on today. Sutek Amin Rob was in the building. Baba Balagoon Ochi Tade was in the building. Mama Pan Africa. How real is that? Like Mama Pan Africa came and set it off today. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it was just tremendous. The amount of, African minds that were here and gathered today to, paint this picture, paint this picture for us. So this was definitely a great one. So again, www.dtc1.org, because we only got the appetizers. We got a little sampler out here going on. You see what I'm saying? We got that little sampler plate that was going on today, and the rest of these days is crazy. The people that are gonna be coming through here, the people that confirmed already for these interviews. I'm telling you, this is something gonna be very, very, very monumental, historical, and monumental in my Busta Rhymes voice. So yeah, it's definitely happening. So again, get your tickets and see you in the whirlwind. All right. Oh yeah, let's go. We out. Catch us on the late night after midnight. B48, be between me, Black Power.
Yeah. Now we gonna tell them. Now in front. We tell them like this, yo. I'm an African. I'm a African. I'm an African. I'm a African. Yeah, y'all like that. No more. This man's mind is open. I'm an African. I'm a African. I'm an African. I'm a. Let's get
And
back
that
to
motive
the
is best developed by recognizing the common enemy.